turret to defend or to struggle for their democratic rights. And they rested in this field, we think, round about where that gorse is, where there was, can still be seen the remains of a dike, which at the time of the rising was about 5 foot in height. And they sheltered behind that dike, and then in the distance they saw a troop of cavalry coming along, and that troop of cavalry engaged that troop of cavalry with their very primitive weapons, pikes and a couple of muskets, and of course they were easily overpowered and captured and taken to Stirling, and there were trials, and as a consequence of these trials, 2 men, John Baird and Andrew Hardy, were executed, and another 19 were exiled to Australia, to Botany Bay. Well, we think it's long past the time that a memorial should have been erected to mark the site of that battle and to pay tribute to the sacrifice that these men paid. And some years ago, when we paid a visit here, one of our active members, Bill Majuri, did say that it was time we had kind of a memorial here, and he in fact approached Mr. Pollock, who is the owner of the Bonny Hill Dairy Farm. This is the farm in which this field is based, and I think he is somewhere in the audience. Still, he's here, and I think we have to thank him for agreeing so generously to allow us to have a memorial in this field. And there followed a period of discussion as to precisely what kind of memorial we should have, and also, of course, we had to take account of the fact of how much we could afford. And eventually, once we'd agreed on a particular type of memorial, we then had to approach Falkirk Council for planning permission, and once again we got full cooperation from Falkirk Council, and as a result of that cooperation we got planning permission towards the end of, is it doing the unveiling first course?
To unveil this memorial in memory of our brothers.
To lay a wreath.
Would you now, Marion, would you like to lay a wreath, and William Abercrombie, and then we'll have the 1 minute silence. We'll stay here then for the 1 minute silence. Would you lay your wreaths here? Before I have the 1 minute silence, could I just, for the benefit of those of you at the back, I'll just read the inscription. The inscription on the memorial is as follows. On 5th of April 1820, a band of Scots working class radicals fought here for their democratic rights against a troop of horse from the British Army. The radicals took cover behind a 5-foot high dry stone dike located in this field, which later known as the Radical Dyke. They were quickly overpowered and taken prisoner. Their 2 leaders, John Baird from Condorit and Andrew Hardy from Glasgow, were executed at Stirling. And then, of course, at the end, it just says erected in April 2007 by the 1820 Society with the permission of J. Pollock and Sons. Could I now ask you to observe a 1 minute silence in memory of the martyrs of Bonnymuir. employed by the council, and I suppose that one could say that was a very apt description. Provost Reid does represent the Falkirk North Ward, I think, on behalf of the Labour Party, and I would like to ask him to say a few words on behalf of the Labour Party and the council.
Well, I do count it a great privilege to be here today. I think today we're reminded of the brotherhood of Scots radicals, which stretched back for many centuries. I know the 1820 uprising was born from the two great revolutions, the one in Europe and France, and the one in America, of course, where men decided they wanted to have a vote, they wanted to have freedom from oppression, they wanted equality, liberty and fraternity. So it was from that background that these men marched from Glasgow through Clondalkin to here to unfortunately meet their fate. They had intended, of course, to go down to Cairn to take over the munitions factory, but they were halted here. Two of them, as you know, were not only executed but were also decapitated on the same day as an extra humiliation for them, and the remainder were sent to Australia. We stand, of course, in a very historic setting. Not far from here are the Rollo brickworks, where the Stone of Destiny was, shall we say, stored during its period of retrieval from London. And just a few yards from here, of course, is the fort of Roughcastle, the Roman fort. So this is quite appropriate that we have an extra memorial in this area to these men. Now, the same issues that these men faced are perhaps a little different nowadays, but there's still the same issues, a little more subtle and a little more insidious, and we wonder what these men would be protesting against today. I think one of the issues they would be talking about would still be suffrage, not about men and women getting the vote, but perhaps men and women using the vote, because it's quite disturbing now that we view a turnout of over 50% as a good result. I'm sure these men would not have appreciated that. They would want a turnout of about 90% in order that democracy may be protected. I think they would also be railing against the unbridled capitalism that we still see around us, where the free market seems to operate unfettered. So I'm sure these men would be in the forefront of protest against the multinationals and against the Tesco's of this world. I think also, with deference to Councillor Coleman, they would also be taking part in the conversation about nationhood. There are many different opinions about that, but I'm sure these men would certainly be taking a full part in that very important discussion.